Hello, greetings, and salutations. Welcome aboard my podcast. I am Jason with Jay's Paradise Travels. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience with the New Orleans Saints, something that I got to see some years ago, and I want to tell you about it now. Before I get into that, though, I want to give a little housekeeping out of the way. If you would like to reach out to me to go on vacation, specifically a cruise, that's my specialty. Or if you want to go see a game, such as the New Orleans Saints, and you want to go take a look at them and follow along in my hobby, what I like to do, going to see different teams and different stadiums across the country, you can reach out to me. There's a couple of different ways that you can do so. One of the ways is through email. My email address is j.paradise@gmail.com. That's jay.paradise@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to me through social media. I have both Instagram and Facebook, and they're the exact same thing. Jay's Paradise Travels. Jays. There's no apostrophe in there. Just Jays. Paradise Travels. Either way, you can look me up, reach out to me, be happy to help you out. Okay, so let's get into this week's episode, me talking about the New Orleans Saints. I think it's funny because I've heard New Orleans, New Orleans, Nolans, as they say. I'm just gonna go with whatever flows off the tongue. In honesty, I've literally said probably all three of those things at one point in my life. I'm just gonna go whatever rolls off the tongue. Um, yeah. Anyways, so this story, my experience with this actually goes back many years ago before I even got married, when I was a flight attendant with at the Continental slash United Airlines, and I had a layover in New Orleans. And while there, I met a couple, a very nice couple, and got their contact information. Kept in touch with them, not like super close, but at least enough where years later, and they were, when I mentioned about my hobby and being able to come see them, they seemed cool with it. So I kept it in my mind. And then years later, after I got married and had been married for a little while, and was looking where to go, I looked into going to New Orleans and doing a weekend trip where I got to see the Saints. I also saw Tulane, the Green Wave, play as well. Anyways, I contacted them. They were willing to allow us to come out there, stay with them. They picked us up from the airport, let us stay with them. Really appreciated that. Anytime if you can find friends or family to stay with, that always is helpful. Anyway, so that's what I did. Selena was with me at the time too, and we went down there. Be, Stayed with them, which was really nice. Really appreciative of their hospitality. Um, and he was when I called him up and talked to him, he had mentioned that he had access to Saints tickets. He had season tickets. All right, cool. But they were going, so we got our own tickets. So we weren't exactly we didn't sit together. Um, they were more. I think they were like more in the lower bowl, one of the end zones, if I remember correctly. I was more up high. I know he was. I remember him saying, "If you go up high, everyone looks like little ants," and I guess that is kind of true. Um, but that's what we could afford, so that's what we did. So we sat apart, but that's all right. When we got there, we felt like a lot of elevators to get all the way up there, but we got up there, and yeah, it is pretty high. They do look like little ants down there. But I've sat up in the top probably most of my life because I've gone to so many uh, games. What's affordable is up there. Anyway, so we went and saw the game, and then later, well, we flew in like Friday night and caught the college football game on Saturday, and then the or did we fly in on Saturday? I can't remember now. We either flew in Friday night or Saturday morning, one of the two. We had the. I mean, we did Saturday. Now come to think of it, because I think that was a night game too. I'll talk about the two-leg game another time in another podcast. Um, and then yeah, Sunday was the game, and then we flew home. We were on standby because I worked at the airline still. I wasn't a flight attendant, but I was with Delta, so I still had the flying benefits. So we flew on standby. It was a little tight getting out of there. It was like the last flight, but we were able to get out, which was good. Anyways, so we get there. And like I said, we're like way at the top, and it's a big stadium. Which I'll get into a bit, but um, anyway, so we get there, game starts. Now the New Orleans Saints are playing the Carolina Panthers, so that's pretty cool being able to see a division game, um, division rivals. Anytime you're going to see a division game here, there's going to be that extra uh, oomph to it because not only is it a rivalry game, um, and there's more on the line. There's more at stake because of how it goes in the divisions. Um, both teams had, uh, I want to say, back then, some of their best quarterbacks that ever played for them too. So it was kind of cool to be able to see that as well. Anyways, so the Panthers at the time had Cam Newton, and in the first quarter, ended up lighting them up. Cam Newton not only threw for a touchdown pass, but also ran for a touchdown as well. They kicked the field goal. It was 17 nothing Panthers at the end of the first quarter. Like, okay, well, this could be a blowout here, but I'm thinking the Saints, they have Drew Brees, they had a high powered offense at one point. All right, maybe we can see something. A comeback. No. The second quarter they kicked the field goal, and Cam Newton threw a touchdown pass to Greg Olson for a bigger lead going into halftime. Greg Olson, who's now like, what is he? He's like an analyst or something. Was it Fox or something? How long ago this was? Some of these players that you saw are not even in the league anymore. They're retired, moved on to other things. Anyway, they're up 24-3 at halftime. Um, okay, again, Saints have a high-powered offense. Maybe they could still come back from that. Maybe they could do something. Third quarter comes around, second half. Nope. Jonathan Stewart runs for a 69-yard touchdown. Cam Newton hooks up with Fozzie Whitaker. It's kind of a funny name, Fozzie Whitaker. I like that. For two more touchdowns to go up 38-3 in the third quarter, going into the fourth. And then in the fourth quarter, you're up. It's 38-3. Yeah, you're not coming back from that. They did end up tacking on a touchdown at the very end. Carolina still got a field goal, made it 41. But the Saints got like a garbage touchdown. Drew Brees to Ben Watson uh, to hook up with him to get at least one touchdown on the board. Yay! Final score 41-10. Carolina just demolished the New Orleans Saints. I was not expecting that, especially in New Orleans. Wasn't even in Carolina. They uh, they just ran away with them at that point. Ben Watson, who Drew Brees threw that touchdown to, I believe he was the one. I mean, you could probably look this up on YouTube. I forget who. I think he was with the Patriots. Anyways, it was like some sort of interception that, or I think it was either an interception or punt return where the guy was running. He was down the sidelines. I mean, clear as day, just no one there. He was about to score, and then just out of nowhere, Ben Watson, I believe it was him, comes out and gets him like right at the 1 yard line, drags him down. It was just incredible how he came out of nowhere. Anyways, he got the lone touchdown for New Orleans. Um, anyways, 41-10. Saints lost that game to the Panthers. Big win for Carolina. Big win for Cam Newton at the time, who was uh, a big deal back then. I mentioned that it was a big stadium, the Superdome. I think years ago it was just called the Superdome. When we went, obviously corporations get their names involved nowadays, and you know you got to deal with. I feel like you got to deal with them. I kind of miss older days when it isn't some random obscure name of something. Sometimes I've never even heard of the company. It's like, all right, so they got their name on a building now. Okay, fine. Other times it is something that's uh, like I think of Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field, I mean Wrigley's gum, but it's just a historic place, and it's had that naming rights for so long. Um, that doesn't even phase me. But then you get another name that some bank or financial institution or insurance company that no one has heard about, no one outside of maybe that area knows about, quite frankly, even cares about. It's like that's the name of the place now. Yeah, I don't know. That's just me, my own little, I don't want to say pet peeve, but just my own little thing with them. Anyways, so when we went, it was the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Now, Mercedes-Benz is a company people know about. Um, I can't say that everyone drives Mercedes-Benz. It's a little bit more on the higher end car, uh, but it's still nice. So whatever, it had its name on there. So it wasn't just the Superdome, which growing up is what I remember. It was a Mercedes-Benz Superdome, and even since then, now it's changed again. So currently, as I record this here in 2025, it is the Caesars Superdome, which I'm guessing is a casino, I think, or it's some sort of sports bet thing because sports betting has become humongous nowadays at every little thing too. Which I don't gamble. I'm not a betting man. I don't gamble. Um, so whatever. That's the name of the building, but it is a huge building, and going up to it, seeing it from the outside, definitely look big. Sometimes you can see pictures of things. Um, it doesn't. It's one thing to see it live, which is one of the reasons I love going to games because I get to see it with my own two eyes in person. Definitely a big building. I think it took me like a couple pictures when I got as we were walking into it. Obviously, a lot of people around, big crowd, big crowd. It's a big stadium. It holds 83,000 people. Um, so when I was a little bit more closer to it, I had to take a couple pictures to kind of get it all, which I'm fine with. It's a big stadium, and I like being a part of it. And it kind of reminded me of a little bit, in a way, of Pontiac Silverdome, something I grew up going to every summer for uh, for conventions. Um, and just that because Silverdome had about 80,000 that it held too, and it was in a dome. And we were where we were sitting, we were up top. I could look up and see the dome, and it looked pretty cool to be able to see that. I like that. Again, just I guess is nostalgia for me. It reminded me of being young. The Silverdome is long gone by now. I just FYI, the Lions have played at Ford Field now for I want to say almost probably 2 decades or something like that. So I mean Pontiac stayed for a while, but it is completely gone now. But it gave me a little bit of reminiscent on that. That and another well, I'll talk about it in another podcast, but another stadium when I went and saw the Syracuse Orange, they were that stadium reminded me of Pontiac too, just smaller. But I'll talk about that in another podcast as well. Anyways, the Superdome I think is really cool. Um, the size of it to be able to have 83,000. It was pretty full. I'm not going to say it was according to what I looked up, it was 73,000 in attendance, so about 10,000 less, but 10,000 amongst a big thing like that, it's still when you look around, it's gonna look pretty full, and I like that. I like being a part of that. And they're a lively bunch. We were there for pregame, and they have a nice little pregame thing too. A lot of flames, and I mean everyone does that. Every team's got their own pregame thing with their lights, and sometimes they have fire in it. And everyone's running out of the tunnel and all that. It's all. Uh, a little bit of a show in itself. We were there for that, so that was cool to see. And at this stadium, not only do the New Orleans Saints play there, but you've got different games. Sometimes neutral field site games are there, bowl games are there. Um, Before they got their own stadium, even Tulane played there. So if you be able to go there, uh, I would say is a pretty cool experience. And I'm sure that had the Saints won, I mean, it was a good atmosphere in itself, but I'm sure if they were playing good or they won, it would probably be an insane atmosphere to be a part of. But Carolina just sucked the life out of them right away. I mean, they went up 17-0 at the first quarter and then was up 24-3 at halftime. You can just continue on 38-3 in the third. That's going to take away the crowd. But even with that, it was pretty cool to be a part of. And who knows? Maybe one day I'll be back. Normally, when I go see a stadium, and it's very rare that I actually go back to it. Just in case if the circumstance lend itself to it, I'll do it. I know they've had the Super Bowl there before too. A long time ago when I was a flight attendant, it may have even been now that I think about it on that trip or not. I don't know. I worked with another flight attendant um, that I think commuted from New Orleans, and he said that he had been to the Super Bowl when I was there. So I thought that was kind of cool. Nice place to go, visit. And then on top of that, you got the city of New Orleans too, and all the that goes along with that, with um, Mardi Gras, French Town, all that stuff. Um, and then so just in general, just some miscellaneous things. As I mentioned, being able to see two iconic quarterbacks, Drew Brees and Cam Newton. Cam Newton, um, at that time was like kind of in his heyday. He had a very successful career with Carolina, but then Carolina's also had some unsuccessful things too. But he did eventually take them to the Super Bowl. Uh, Being able to see him live, I'd seen him live in my lifetime a couple times. That was one of them. And then Drew Brees too. Drew Brees, I remember him playing at Purdue back in the late '90s, I think it was something like that. And I have a podcast on my I've seen the Purdue Boilermakers. Go check that out. But anyways, he was at Purdue, and Michigan was playing Purdue. Um, and Purdue was pretty good under him. Purdue up and down. Sometimes they have real good seasons. Sometimes they're at the bottom. Whatever. It is what it is. They're not exactly Michigan, Ohio State, the ones that are you know, the top dogs most of the time. They've had their ups and downs, but under Drew Brees, boy, they did really well. And I remember watching Michigan play at Purdue, and Michigan's quarterback was Drew Henson at the time. And they had Drew Brees, so it was like the battle of the Drews, back and forth, back and forth, and it was pretty much going to be whoever got the ball last, and it was Purdue, and they were able to kick like a last second field goal to beat Michigan. And I remember being so mad in my room, so upset they lost that game. And Drew Brees, and not that I held it against him too long after that. Um, but New Orleans, they had at one point Hurricane Katrina ransacked the city, right, and devastated. And the Saints couldn't even play at their building. I think the Superdome was pretty much used almost like to house people that were affected by the hurricane or something to that effect. Um, and so the city was everything, but they were able to get past that. Um, the Saints even had to go play. I want to say they played their home games like in New York or something like that. They didn't even get to play there. Anyways, it was around that time eventually Breeze, I forgot exactly the story how he got to New Orleans, but wherever he was before, either they let him go or he didn't want to be there, mutual or something to that effect. Found his way into New Orleans, where it was just this nice marriage between him and he really took to the city. Um, Sean Payton, who was the coach for the Saints, they all blended together really well and ended up having a great tenure together. Even reaching the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl back in, was that 2007? It was like late 2000. So it wasn't too long after the Hurricane Katrina. As the city was getting back on its feet and rebuilding itself and getting over the hurricane and coming back on the rise. And Drew Brees was able to um, uh, really indoctrinate himself in the city and with the team. And I know the fans there love him. They're like iconic quarterback, uh, you know. Um, and they had good receipt, Colston and many others that came through there that he hooked. I felt like he had like a million different weapons. They had such a high-powered offense. I remember the Lions having to go there for a playoff game. They got ran out of town. I was watching them like, man, hard to stop them. So they did get a Super Bowl win out of that, and that was being that New Orleans for the longest time. wasn't like the greatest football team in the world. I think they even had almost like a nickname, the New Orleans Aints, um, years ago. But Drew Brees and Sean Payton, they were able to help them uh, get on the map and be a better NFL team. And I was able to see them live. Now, the NFL is kind of designed where it balances itself out. Very rare do you see one team be extremely dominant for so long. Patriots are kind of an exception, but um, it is kind of uh, designed to balance itself out. So you'll see different Super Bowl winners. So New Orleans was able to eventually get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. So good for them. Um, as things go on, though, I don't think they ever did make it back. They've had some winning teams over the years. They were able to make the playoffs and maybe make a run of the playoffs, but lost uh, in some way. Um, and at the time that we saw them, as that was starting to come, that tenure, I guess you could say, was either in its heyday or starting to come down from its heyday. But whatever the case, Cam Newton came into town and just kind of ran through him in that particular game. And it is what it is. It was a division game. So much though that there was even a fight that broke out in the second half. I can't remember if it was in the third quarter or the fourth quarter. I don't remember, but there was like this big brawl that happened in one of the end zones that we were close to, and next thing you know, the whole crowd. I mean, the whole crowd of people. You can see them just they're fighting. They're kind of moving their way past the goal line, past the goalposts. I mean, eventually it got broken up and whatever, but a division game, you got heated rivals. That type of thing happens. So it is what it is. I do remember my parents got to see the Super. They had went and took a trip to New Orleans before I went to this game, and they took some pictures of it because they know that's what I do. They took some pictures of it, and I think they even got me like a magnet too, and some other things like Super Bowl. I don't know, those cards or something. They got me like some sort of souvenir from it and brought it home to me and gave it to me. That was real nice. I do remember that. So there was these little memories of it too from the past. I mean, if you're going to be as long time invested in sports and football and going to these things and watching it for a long time, you're going to have these different memories. You got a ton of them. Um, to be able to go there and catch a game was a pretty cool experience. Again, if they had won or they had blown out a team, I'm sure it would have been a pretty electric atmosphere. It was still a good atmosphere. The fans are still passionate about it, but you get blown out at home. As time goes on, it kind of takes that away in time. That's okay. Still glad I got to go, and for the friends that I got to visit, that was real nice too. Being able to see them. If this is something that you think that you would like to go see, go catch those New Orleans Saints and see them play, whoever, and go catch that, see what it's like in that stadium, or just go to that stadium for another game, or just go visit New Orleans. You want to do any of those things, let me know. Again, you can reach out to me through email, j.paradise@gmail.com. It's jay.paradise@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to me through social media, Jay's Paradise Travels. That's Jays, no apostrophe. Jay's Paradise Travels, Instagram and Facebook. Reach out to me that way. I got pictures of my travels there too, so feel free to look at those. And if you do like this podcast, please like it, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, all those things that keep podcasters going. And for myself, uh, business that I do, want to be able to get my name out there to other people, get them on vacation, be their personal travel agent, and make this world happier one vacation at a time. Um, and if you have any comments, maybe you have a memory yourself of the New Orleans Saints, good or bad, right? You can maybe you went to a game and they lost too, or you've been a longtime Saints fan and you've had your glory moments, but you've also had your down moments too. I'm a Lions fan. I know what that's like. We definitely have had it. You guys have gone to the Super Bowl at least once. Lions have not yet. No. Last couple of years, we thought maybe we had a chance to do it, and uh, we didn't. So Anyway, so if you have a good comment, bad comment, whatever, I just ask that you keep it clean as regards other team. This is more of a this is a travel podcast, not a sports podcast. And if you have a hatred towards another team, don't want to hear that. Just keep it clean. But even if you did have a something that happened to you that wasn't on the positive side, they lost the game, they broke your heart some way. I'd still love to hear about it and be able to return the comments and talk to you about it. Feel free to leave a comment. Anyways, thank you again for listening. I appreciate it. Look forward to talking with you guys another time. Take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.